Hey guys, my name is Julian and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be changing the neck pickup on this Telecaster Harley Benton TE-62. I'm going to be swapping it for this DiMarzio Twang King. Alright, so here is the deal with this guitar, guys. This guitar, I like it a lot. Love the color. Neck is really good. I actually like it quite a lot. The color, everything is really good. Now, if you've been following my channels, I already made a few upgrades to this guitar and they all made quite a difference, right? I changed the assembly, which had like a knob that was like, you know, displaced in a way. So I changed that, it was 30 bucks, and that made a pretty big difference on the sound. I changed the bridge pickup. Now about the stop pickups, guys, and this is something that I'll probably talk later on when I, kind of do another, maybe like, 6 months or 1 year after all the months on this guitar. But the stop pickups are actually pretty good, guys, and I have been thinking about it. The reason why why I put like this similar Duncan Jerry Donahue, I'm not even sure how to say that, guys, but aside from that, the reason why I changed this because I wanted this to be more like a very classic Tele. But the stop pickups are actually quite nice. They're not just super classic Tele sounding. They're actually quite fat. So that's not a bad thing, guys. They actually sounded quite fat and they took gain pretty well, especially the bridge. It didn't get like very like, piercing or anything like that. It took them pretty well. So they were so good, guys, that I might think in the future I might just get another Tele, like another color, because they're so inexpensive, and just keep the original pickups for when I want to do kind of like, I guess, more rocky stuff, or more like, things that take in a little bit well but are still single coil. So they're not bad, so take that into account. It is, they're actually not bad. Now, why am I changing it then to the DiMarzio? Guys, because the reason, as I said before, is that they're thicker sounding. So what's happening now is that I have a very bright bridge pickup. Yes, I did try to play around with the height and everything, but it's pretty bright overall, pretty Tele, right? A lot of cut, a lot of bite, so really good pickup, sounds great. But now the neck pickup is quite unbalanced in the sense that it's much more muffled in a way. Well, not in a bad way, but it's just a lot lower sounding, has a lot less highs. So now when I'm trying to play, like in the in-between position is not bad. But when I just, if I'm playing the bridge and then I go to the neck, then the change of sound is quite drastic. So that means that, if I set up my pedals for the neck, right? When I go for the bridge, it's too bright. If I set them for the bridge, when I go for the neck, now they're too dull, right? So, they're a little bit out of balance, but then, because I changed them. So actually the original stop pickups, they balance each other pretty well, which I think Harley Benton does a good job. They have, well-balanced pickups on their guitars. So, I'm changing it for the Twang King because I heard so many good things about this that I wanted to try it out. People say it's like, some people at least, say it's like an amazing or the best, kind of like pickup for your, neck. So, I wanted to try it, but I also wanted something that was kind of brighter just to match my bridge. So I'm gonna install this and then, we'll find out, how it sounds. I don't know yet if maybe this one is better, or maybe I like this one better. But, we'll check it out. So, we'll check out some tones with the stock pickups, and then I'll try to play obviously similar things with the new pickup, right? So we can get a sense. I'll use the same pedals, same amp settings, right? So we can kind of get a bit of a reference. Right now, if you want to see just the tones and you don't want to see all this chit chat, should have said in the beginning, right? But just check the timestamps. I'm gonna put, here are the stock pickups, here are the new pickups, just so you can jump around a little bit, and then I'll give you my thoughts as always at the end. Alright guys, sorry, super hot in here, so if you see me sweating, guys, I even had the fan on over here. But alright guys, Orange TH30, clean channel. I'm going to show you the pedals that I'm going to use. I'll go from low gain to higher gain. Obviously it's the bridge, it's the neck, sorry. So, don't expect like a lot of like, riffing, high gain tone riffing, because usually that's what the bridge is for, at least for me. But I'll definitely go to high gain on the neck. Okay, so let's kind of begin, guys. I'll do neck, and then, with the same pedal, I'll do a middle, just so you can see a difference. And let's just check it out and let's see what happens, right? So clean channel, a little bit of delay and reverb, just a little bit, but here we go. Neck. Oops. Probably will help if I have my volume pedal on, right? All right, let's do our middle position. Right, so as I said in the beginning, guys, they're not bad. I mean, they're actually quite fat sounding, and they sound good if that's what you're going for. Like if you are maybe like, you know, mainly a humbucker player, you're not replacing single coils, this actually will probably fit in really nice with the tones that you like, right? And if you like single coil, then, you know, it might be like now too, I'm not gonna say dull, but just too bassy sound, right? Too fat maybe, right? Which, you know, that's okay. Now, just so you can see the difference, you know, between the neck and the bridge. Right here is the neck. Nice fat, right? And then, you know, actually that was my metal. Wait, so neck. Right, I think that was the neck actually. And bridge. Right, so obviously the bridge is always gonna be a lot more bite and highs, but again, they're to me a little bit unbalanced on the lows. Just way too much lows on the neck. While, you know, I just can't get my pedals to work on both of them as well. That's why I'm switching it. But then again, it's not a bad pickup, guys. Right now, I've been doing a lot of tube screamers, so let me do the Nobels instead, which is a little bit less of a mid hump. All right, on the neck. Alright, same thing on middle. Sounds great, guys. It's a good sound again. And if you're looking for something a little bit less mid-humpy, the Nobels is actually a pretty good drive for that. All right, now let's go ahead and do Zendrive, which is, I'm using it a lot for leads. All right, so check it out. No chords for this one. Right, and then if we go to the middle. All right, pretty nice. Let's do RAT. RAT is, by the way, one of my most used pedals all the time in studio and in gigging, guys. It's such a like a Swiss Army knife I could easily do like, you know, 3 different sounds with 3 different rats and have 3 rats on my board and get everything that I want. Really good pedal. All right, let's do our neck. All right, same thing on the metal. Now I'm adding one more pedal to this, well actually 2 more. We're gonna do a Joyo Uzi, which is kind of like my highest gain in my board. But actually with the rat on, let's turn on this Boss Fuzz, right? The FC5, which is, I'm not like a huge fuzz guy, but you know, before all my pedals, just to get like a different kind of lead tone, it's actually really, really cool by itself. Don't like it that much, but check it out on the neck. Fat and sustain. Something very different to what I'm used to, but I'm starting to like it more and more, guys. Now let's do our middle. Pretty cool sound. Obviously a lot of noise, so and if you're using single coils, even more, so make sure to have a noise gate. All right, and let's end up our kind of like tone check, at least as the stop pickup, guys. And you know, as you have heard, guys, to be honest, and I'll do like a talk or like a blog about this, but if you have a pretty good amplifier, no matter what guitar you use, you're probably gonna get a pretty good tone. And if you get pedals that you know how they work and how to set them, then you can get a really good sound out of almost anything. But again, you know, I'm not just going for a good sound, I'm going for the sounds that I like, that I know are gonna inspire me, that are, you know, it's just kind of the thing that I want sound-wise, right? But you know, again, these pickups, right? If you have a good setup, this guitar with the stock pickups is gonna sound fine. All right, now let's see, let's do our Uzi, guys. So this is my highest gain, okay? Actually, there we go. I don't know if it's gonna make a difference. let's do our middle position. Alright guys, so here's the change. Obviously it's not gonna look any different, so telling at the front you won't see anything different itself. Alright, but here is the new pickup. Good thing about Teles is that they're pretty easy to work on, guys. They just are. After doing last week, I did a change on a PRS SE Pulse guitar with the mini toggle switches. Oh my god. After doing that, I kind of love working on Teles a lot more because it is a lot easier. Right now, here is the thing, guys. So, didn't cause any problems. Very easy switch, just put it in, switch the other one out. Didn't have really to worry about anything. So it went pretty well. All right, so what I'll do is, instead of just telling you like a little bit of what's happening, note-wise and with the tone, let's first check out the tones now with the new pickup, right? And then, we'll go ahead and, have a little chat and see, what I think, because I think the old ones could be a good option for you. Okay, guys, so we got the new pickup in. All right, let's try it, sorry. Same amp, same settings. I haven't changed the tone on anything, by the way. Over time, I will adjust, obviously, to the pickup and see what, pedal settings are better. And then I'll do, like, a review, like, now with both new pickups and everything, like, maybe in a few months, just, to see what I can get out of it. All right, but it is very, very different, guys. All right, but here we go. We got our clean neck. Let's try our middle. Right, so obviously, again, I hope that you're using some good headphones or stereo monitor just to hear, again, those low frequencies, that clarity. Again, at the end, I'll talk all about all of those changes, what I perceive in the room, and, hope it helps, but it is quite a difference, guys. All right, now let's go with our Nobels ODR one. Here we got it, neck. Yep. And let's do our middle, same pedal. a lot more highs, right? A lot more clearness, not as much lows, right? Let's do our Zendrive. Wait, did I have? Oh, my bad, guys. So I had the ODR on. I thought I turned it off. Right, wait, so redo in case you wanted to see how the Nobels and the Zendrive work together. This Zendrive by yourself. Sorry about that. Yeah, definitely pushing it a little bit less. Yeah, sounds really good. Such a lovely pedal. Middle position, same thing. Right, it has a lot of more of that like a belt like kind of quality. Now wait, we got a bass hitter, but he's quite destructive little boy. But check it out, crazy little guy, loves playing guitar. Definitely gonna be a shredder for the channel. All right, and all right, wait a sec. Let's put it in here. It's gonna take care of our pedals for now. All right, so now let's do, guys, RAT. All right, we got our neck pickup, and here we go. All right, let's do our metal. All right, wait a sec. All right, speed is gonna be harder than what I thought. There we go. Let's try that again. All right, guys. Now let's try again that Boss FC5. Right, that first with the RAT. And again, obviously gonna have a lot of hum, but check it out. Pretty cool sound, actually. Again, I'm starting to like that a lot. Now let's try it with the metal. Let's put this here, guy. Then it's probably gonna come right back up. This is obviously, guys, as you can see, a very animal studio friendly. And you guys haven't even seen my dog, which is like huge. All right, so now let's finish up by doing Joyo Uzi. All right, full on gain, everything full. Let's do our neck. was actually took me by surprise. On the higher gain, right? It's like it's not that it's taking away highs. Obviously, there's less gain. It's pushing it a bit less than the original, right? So we know it has like a little bit less push, right? But it's kind of taming the highs. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Again, I'll talk that at the end, but let's finish up with doing our middle. Alright, and one last thing that I didn't do, guys, clean, right? Let's just kind of like do one long chord on the neck now, and then on the bridge, because now it is way more balanced. So check this out, E. Alright, and then our bridge. Right, so that, you know, that bridge is still obviously gonna be brighter, punchier, right? But now there's not like a huge world apart. So now I can kind of set up my pedals where I can get them both to work fine with the same setting. I'm not just having to like jump around and try different stuff, which again kind of defeats the purpose of doing all these mods. All right, now let's talk a little bit about it. Now in the room, guys, again, because it's very different when you're maybe listening on a phone, or you know, or I don't even know what YouTube might do, because a lot of times I'll record different things and they'll look pretty similar, right? So let me tell you about some of the things that I noticed. All right, so definitely this one brighter, definitely pushing less. All right, so whether you want to call it vintage or just, you know, not as high output, sorry. Then, you know, this one's a little bit lower, which is again fine, because I'm not looking to do like any super high gain stuff on this. Maybe a solo here or there, so it's pushing a little bit less. And this is the one thing that I would say again about most of the pickups that I look for, at least. I guess it's something that in all my guitars I look for, but it has a lot more clearness, right? And the bass is more tame, right? Doesn't have like over the top bass than the other one has. Now here's the thing, guys. The other pickup, the one that was here before, I still think it was a great pickup. So in reality, again, I might just get another Harley Benton TE-62 because they're like 150 bucks. Yeah, they're cheap and everything, but they're still cheaper than anything. And just keep the original Roswells or Tele-style, I don't even know what they were, because they actually don't sound bad. If you are not looking for that super tele-twangy thing, which in a way I'm usually not playing country or anything like that, but I guess that's something I want in a tele. Then, you know, then the other pickups are fun. If you're going to play rock in it, if you're going to play, you know, some bluesy kind of stuff, right? Stuff that is not super clean. The older pickups actually hold their own really good. Now, if you want more of like a classic tele kind of tone, right? Then yeah, these ones fit pretty well. And even this, you know, Seymour Duncan JD3 or JDS3, well, the Jerry do not have one, right? That one, it still pushes on the bass a little bit more than your original. So it's just a little bit tiny bit fatter. So it's not as, you know, as ear piercing or maybe ice picky, right? We could say. But then again, guys, such a huge difference. So they're really well balanced. Now in the middle position, you get a lot more of like a bell-like tone, right? It's not as fat again, but it's very bell-like, which is great for, you know, doing rhythm, especially with like an overdrive, right? And you could probably hear that. Well, hopefully you can hear that. But I think it's a great pickup. Now, I've been hearing amazing things about this. And then again, this is my first day playing it. I just made the change. I started playing right now. So obviously, you know, I'll play it a lot. I'll do videos with it. And then, you know, sooner or later, I'll end up doing like, you know, a 6-month review, 1-year review. I don't even know how long it will be. Not even counting it. But I'll do a review after getting used to it, because I do think that it takes a bit to get used to changes on a guitar, especially if you're used to, you know, something else. So pretty much, I have a Nick Johnston Telecaster. That's kind of like my strong guitar, right? Like my hot-rodded Tele, right? It has the Chopper T on the neck, you know, Seymour Duncan SH1, I believe, on the neck. Sounds great. They fit together perfectly. This one, I wanted to be a little bit more classic. Still wanted to play a lot of the stuff that I usually play, but a little bit more classic. All right, but, you know, still sounds great, and it still has the clarity, which for me is important. And I think Teles are just known for that. So I'm happy with the change, guys. But then again, you know, kind of has me thinking, because the stop pickers were also pretty good. So there you go, guys. You know, if you want like a lower end price guitar, I'm not affiliated with Harley Benton or anything, but you know, for like 150 plus shipping, Maybe in the US you'll get some tariffs. Maybe, you know, who knows what's going on with that. But I think if you just buy the guitar and keep it as it is, you're still gonna get a really good guitar. Again, yeah, I did have to, like, you know, change the wiring. That was 30 bucks. So guys, overall, guys, I'm pretty happy with this guitar. Again, you know, we're gonna see it now with these changes even more on the channel, because I do love how it looks, and I do like how it sounds and how it feels. It does not feel like a toy, right, as many people would describe them. It is not. It is a serious instrument. I will gig with this thing, and I will, and I'll show videos in the future. All right, but as of today, guys, that was our video. Let me know, do you have a Harley Benton? What do you think about it? What do you guys think of the you know, our pickups, you know, the change of the pickups? Which one did you like more? Did you hear a difference? Is it not as important? I don't know. Let's just kind of let me know. Hopefully it helps, and, you know, see you next time, guys.